and welcome to Wise Women Wednesdays. My name is Jennifer Regular, and I am the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path and also host of this show, where I get to bring these incredible and amazing women from all around the world to share their message and their journey to help you become who you came here to be and do what you came here to do. Today, my guest is Robyn Zaval. She is the founder of OnlyTheInspired.com. From her own experience, she felt like the coaching system was broken, making it difficult and expensive to grow a coaching business and to get coaching. Her mission is to empower millions to live inspired lives through the power of coaching by changing this model and help those who really want to change their lives. And today she's here to share the perseverance of her passion journey and how she found clarity in her mission and supports others in finding the same. Welcome, Robyn. It is so wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here, Jennifer. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm excited to hear what really lit your path.
Well, I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 17.
Wow.
My first business was Amway, and that really changed the way I looked at life because it was the most supportive environment I could possibly think of being in. At a 17-year-old, I was at the Arco Arena surrounded by, 13,000 people excited about life and all encouraging you. And I just knew then that I didn't want to work 40 hours a week and have a life that didn't inspire me. So that started my journey. And really, when I got lots of clarity, was going to my first Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within. And I did my first Firewalk on my 40th birthday.
Woo!
Woo! Same day Oprah did it. And oh my gosh, that is my ultimate happy place. It's a place where people are breaking through their limitations and just being in the presence of Tony Robbins and how he really, drives that inner, I want more in my life. In every person in that audience is like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
If I can make that impact, I couldn't think of anything else that could be more satisfying, right? But, so that was step one, is realizing I wanted to be a coach. And it was like a month and a half. So I did the UPW and then Date with Destiny. And like the month later, there was an ad to become a coach through Robyn's Madonna's training. And so that started my journey in the coaching realm. I realized after years of being in that space, holy moly, it's really hard to get your business going. It's super hard to get your business going. And so after several years and several thousands of dollars of, trying to learn how to do the marketing and tech and how to, figure out what kind of coach, because you have a 1,000 different voices in your head, all trying to talk to you. Well, you should do this and you should do this. And this is how you stand out in this. And it's so confusing. I decided I'd be a relationship coach because, they say you can't just coach everything. So pick a niche. And I figured, well, one of the 6 human needs was love and connection. And it's like relationships, people, you want those relationships. Some people will swear it off and some people just desperately want it, but we all really need it. So that was kind of the journey that I picked. And then, like I said, going through several years of struggle of trying to create my business, I went through this course through Fia Lynn Crandall, and it was all about numerology and finding out what your own strengths were, strengths and weaknesses. And her idea in this program is basically go through and you design a business based on your own unique skills and gifts. And, like I said, I'd been an entrepreneur since I was 17, and I had tried probably 17 different businesses, lots of network marketing. I owned a beauty salon. I did this. I did real estate and real estate investing. I did so many different things. And I used to kind of judge myself. And then when we went through this course, I learned so many things about myself that made me feel better. Like I'm a life path 5, which is jack of all trades. So it's natural for me to be interested in lots of things. And so going through that little course is like, oh my gosh. And, finding the creativity. I always wanted to be creative and didn't actually think I was creative, and wanted to be intuitive, but didn't really think I was intuitive. And going through this, it shined the light on the parts of me that I'd kind of been denying. And so I think personal clarity is one of the best gifts that you could do for yourself. And I think everybody needs to do that. And like a month after going through this course is when I came up with the idea for Only the Inspired. And I had been searching so many businesses for my thing. And I feel like I finally got my download. It's like, okay, well, that's it. I'm good. I know exactly what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so true that love and belonging is so important in our lives. So it makes sense that we want to start in relationships, because often we define ourselves, who we are and whether we're whole or not, tied into our relationships, don't we?
Absolutely.
But then to be so multi-passionate, and I love working with creatives and multi-passionates too, it's an inner conflict, an inner struggle that's almost continuous when you're interested in so many different things and get excited about it, have enthusiasm for it, and want to learn and just keep on learning. But then having to figure out what it is you really want to do and what you're meant to put out there. And so taking a soul-centered approach to finding out where your potency is, what you're really meant to do. And you're right, it often comes from like that drop-in or that download. When we give enough space to be open to all those different possibilities, then it's easy for that path to come through and to become clear for us. But then to have the perseverance to even get there in the first place when you're trying so many different options and not being able to find like, yes, this is it, that lasts longer than, a few days or a month. Because we all feel like, well, I know I do, that this is it for a little while. And then all of a sudden it isn't anymore because it just doesn't completely fit. And it can be really hard to find that sense of wholeness unless you can accept all parts of you, like you obviously do. You found out through numerology, what you're meant to do and what your path was like, and kind of gather that courage and that acceptance that you are going to be interested in multiple different things, and to not try to just pull out parts of you that make it to get a society's acceptance, but to accept all of you and all of your passions, and then find what you're most potent with and go for that. But I love your title of Only the Inspired. So tell us more about that.
Well, there's a couple different reasons I came up with that name. So I am one of those, and really why I tried so many different businesses is I always had that inner calling. I knew that I was meant for something more, and that's what drove me. I don't want to go to a job every day just to make money. I want to make an impact. And so I had that calling. And then I started going to Tony Robbins events, like I said. And so when you're in that event and you're surrounded by people purposefully dealing with their stuff in their life and moving forward and knowing that they could accomplish anything. And yes, it takes that personal drive, but I call those people inspired, right? So I would come home from a Tony event and, literally I just walked on fire, and I would come back to my job and the people that were around me, and nobody really understood me. They didn't understand why I do it. And they'd call me crazy for walking on fire and all this kind of stuff. Is like, I'm inspired. And, I was around people who were just not, and I don't want to make it sound bad, but people who were happy with just what they were doing and didn't really have any goals. And to somebody who has that strong calling, that strong drive, you crave to be around those people who are, that you can have mind expanding ideas with, you know. And I call them inspired, right? Inspired to do something more, inspired to make a difference. And then the other part of that is, you know, as I'm going through my coaching, I was doing relationship calls, and I was on the phone, you know, on these calls with some people, and realizing that some of them had no intentions whatsoever on doing the work. They just wanted me to tell their partner that they were wrong. It's like, okay, I realize now, you know, because you're supposed to find your ideal client. And my ideal client is to work with people like me, you know, who might be struggling in their relationship, where people sitting next to me at Brendon Burchard or Tony Robbins, the ones who are willing to do the work, the ones that, you know, it's like, I want that good relationship. I'm willing to go through it. And so both of those two things came in. It's like, all right, I want to work with only the inspired and have it be a place where people who are inspired can come together, where you don't feel so lonely, because it can be very lonely, because nobody around me understood the language. And so I just would stop talking about it with any of my friends and family because they didn't get me. Mm-hmm. And so those things all came together, and that's where I came up with Only the Inspired, is a place for us to all move forward and to be around like-minded people.
Yes, like-minded, like-hearted, and really aligned too, mm-hmm. isn't mm-hmm. it? Yes, and really walking that path, or walking on fire. So some people around you thought you were crazy, but you were doing this anyway. So take us through that. What was going on in your mind? How did it feel? What made you decide to do it, first of all, and how did it feel doing it? And then what was it like after?
To do what exactly?
Walk on fire.
Well, so I had listened to some of Tony's tapes, and, you know, the Personal Power. Trust me, it's a great program, but nothing like actually going to the event. Nothing like it. So for one, it's super scary to walk on fire, but it's not, it's more of a metaphor. If I could get myself to walk across 2,000-degree hot coals barefoot, then I could ask for a raise, or I can ask that guy out, or I could, you know, if I can make myself do something terrifying, then I could do this in my life. So that whole part's a metaphor. And, you know, I have videos of myself after a Tony event, like on the last day when I have like no voice left. And it's like, there's no other place, you know. I don't know. I'm always one of those who tries to inspire people. The Firewalk, and I've done 4 of them.
Wow.
I've done 4 of them. The first one was for me. The other 3 I actually crewed. And so it's fun to, and I know I'm kind of switching topics here, but it's when you're there for yourself, you're in it full blown for yourself, and you got to play all out. And, you know, I had snot hanging from my nose, you know, really, you know, why am I here? If I'm here, I want to make those breakthroughs. And so when you're crewing, you actually get to watch, you know, 8,000 people go through their own breakthroughs.
Wow.
And, you know, and the cool thing about when I crewed is I was a silent angel. And so on each one of the Firewalk lanes, there's several positions. So there's the person in front who actually makes sure that people are in state, because you have to be in state before you walk on coals, because you could get hurt. And then there's a silent angel that walks right next to them, making sure that they don't fall, because you're not looking down, you're looking up. So I get to walk next to them to make sure they don't walk into the bucket of hot coals that are right behind me. And then there's people who catch them and spray their feet off and stuff like that. So I've got to do the silent angel 3 times. And the last time I was actually on Tony's lane. So that was so cool. But to see people break through I'm getting all emotional. People break through that huge fear, and just celebrate at the end is amazing. So that's, you know, obviously with what I'm doing now is not quite that extent in that moment, but to help those people come through on the other side and believe that life is so much better.
Yes.
Or it can be so much better. So yeah.
Well, and that's literally a breakthrough. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that something like that is so life-changing. And then to do it again and again also, and just and know that you can, you know? And like you said, have those breakthroughs and be inspired and want to be able to inspire others. That's for me, following passion rather than obligation, you know, really focusing on what you love and not just the next thing on your to-do list, right? Like, where is our attention and our focus? Are we feeling inspired and fulfilled and following our joy, our bliss, and what makes our heart sing, and challenging ourselves in like unthinkable ways and really making the impossible possible? I mean, those are major breakthroughs. So I love hearing that. I love these breakthroughs that people are having, and that it just opens up so much more because you know what else is possible, you know, and then there's still more that's even possible, and we just keep growing and evolving, and like we said, continuously learning and just expanding, and being with other people too can really keep us going. But Robyn, what about the people that are struggling and are finding it difficult and aren't feeling so inspired anymore, that have become disheartened or disillusioned by life or what they thought would be a forever thing, for example, even in regard to relationships? How do they persevere? How do you keep them inspired or re-inspire them?
Well, first of all, to be able to help them, you have to help yourself first. So you have to kind of put yourself on that. You have to take care of yourself and your vision, and not necessarily vision, but you have to get in that place yourself before you can help others. The gift of, you know, finding that peace and that exhilaration in yourself, the gift of that is to be able to share that with others. And you know, so I always want to start with clarity. Clarity gave me so much value and belief in myself when I didn't really have it. And so I always try and, you know, when I'm working with somebody, I try and do clarity. I try and do numerology. I have all sorts of assessments there's this one assessment. It's, you know, and most of the assessments I do are all free. So viacharacter.org, and you take this assessment, and then it lists all of these character strengths that you have. And, you know, my husband and I put them on the wall, and you read those. It's like, that's me. I feel amazing if I am that person that has those characters, you know, character strengths. It's like, wow, I love that. And, you know, you try and get people to appreciate who they are, to know their strengths and know their weaknesses. And weaknesses aren't bad. It's good to have clarity on that. But once you get clarity, then you can really go with what really makes you feel good. And it's all about feeling good, because, you know, so many people choose a career nowadays because that's what's expected, or that's where the money is, or that's just where they fell in. That doesn't mean it lights them up. So it's my goal and purpose and passion is to ignite that in other people, and then help them find what lights them up. And there's no limit to what it can be, but right. You have to do something. It's like, oh my gosh, if I could do this, you know, for 20 hours a day, I would, and it wouldn't seem like time, you know, went by at all. So and I'm on this continual journey of learning about myself, and I've struggled with focusing on the negative. And that's what most people do. If people are really stuck in a spot, it's because, like, money was my nemesis. And it was always lack of money, because I was a single mom for 12 and a half years, and lack of money. So, you know, I'm buying all these courses to make money, to pay the bills, to get forward. And it's funny, I would find myself spending money to break my money blocks. It would make no sense. But I realized, so the goal was more money, but I'm focused on the lack of money. And that's what, it's a cycle that people get stuck in. So helping people get out of that cycle. If you're stuck on the lack of a good relationship, a good job, or whatever, you're going to keep it there. So law of attraction, I'm really learning a lot about that. And if I can help people realize that, basically anything that feels crappy it's going against what you really truly want. So you have to kind of back up and, we're kind of complicated. We're kind of simple if you can understand it. But yeah, it's just helping people realize these different things about themselves. And each step of the way kind of lightens the load and makes the vision brighter and makes them feel better about themselves. And it's really self-discovery. And, it's a journey. It's a path. You're not going to wake up and have all your dreams come true. It's a diligent, purposeful path that you take.
Yes. And like you said near the beginning too, about being willing to do the work as well. And having that clarity helps find the perseverance too, to keep you going. So it was a really great way that you brought all that together. So Robyn, how do people work with you? How do they connect?
So one way to do that is through my website. It's onlytheinspired.com. And we haven't really talked a lot about it, but we offer unlimited free coaching. And so I am one of the coaches on there. So if you go to onlytheinspired.com, you look up coaches, and then I'm there. All of my social media is on there, or they can also email me at Robyn, ROBYN, at onlytheinspired.com. But yeah, all of my social media, it's right there. And so it's easy to find me that way. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay, fantastic. That's so great. So I'll make sure I'll have those links in the show notes in the video description there for everyone. So tell us a little bit more then about all this free coaching membership site.
Okay. So part of my download, the whole point of the site is to help, for one, coaches like me, that were struggling to get their businesses going, to be able to show up and help others, right? I know that I'm not meant to be the end all be all to everybody, but everybody, all these coaches have all these amazing gifts that that took decades for them to learn what they're teaching on, right? And so I created Only the Inspired for the coaches to get out there and get their message out. And then I also created it for the people who want coaching, because there's this whole thing going around, raise your coaching prices, high ticket. And for me, that eliminates the masses from getting the help that they wanted. Like I said, I was a struggling single mom for 12 and a half years, and I desperately wanted coaching, but I could not afford that. So our model with onlytheinspired.com is every coach goes live 2 hours a week, either Q&A for the recorded course or live group coaching to help people on every topic. And that's health, business, relationship, spirituality, all sorts of stuff. Crypto, we have crypto coaches, we have all sorts of coaches. And because all of these areas are all connected, you can be super happy in life, but if your health is in the dumper, then it's going to affect every other area. Or if you're struggling in business, so it's all connected. You could be super successful in business, but your marriage is a mess. And so I wanted to have all coaching on one site where people could get coaching without having to pay money for it first. And they could test out all the coaches and learn a little bit about the coaches. But I wanted to make that available for anybody and everybody. And it didn't have to be $1,000 a month. When I was starting out, I was being taught to charge $1,000 a month as a new relationship coach. And it really, really rubbed me wrong, because I'm on these phone calls with people on the verge of divorce and they're an emotional wreck. And I'm supposed to say, well, I can help you only if you pay me $1,000 a month. To me, it shouldn't be a financial thing to get the help. If anybody truly wants to help their marriage, they should be able to get that. Yes. And so that is just one of the driving forces of why we're doing free coaching on there, is to help people, because everybody, we all need a hand up. We all need somebody to listen to, somebody to listen to us. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. That is so incredible, so generous, and really accessible for so many people that might not otherwise be able to get that help and that coaching and that inspiration to keep moving forward and live their best life, really. And, be able to live themselves fully. And you're really a walking testament to what can happen, what breakthroughs can happen, and what the perseverance and the clarity means to really follow your passion and your calling and what lights you up. So it's been such a pleasure and an amazing conversation having you here today, Robyn. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. And do you have any final words for the audience?
Really, if you know that you're kind of stuck, if you feel like you're stuck in a place that there's more there, there's that calling, that's something that you're supposed to do but don't know how to do it, reach out, go find that coaching. If you want to come to Only the Inspired, you can, but don't stay stuck, because then at the end of your life, you're going to go, I feel like I never lived because I never actually went for something that inspired me. You can have the life that inspires you, but you have to pursue it, and you have to take those baby steps to get there.
Yes.
So do it. Don't stay stuck.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Robyn. And I also want to thank each and every one of you that have been listening and watching on Wise Women Wednesdays. We'll see you again next time. And if you did like this video, then give us a thumbs up and share it and subscribe to the channel. That allows it to have a further reach and help more people who want to become who they want to be and do what they came here to do. Thanks again so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.